Hello. Sorry I'm late, guys. But Toni and I have just been nattering, and you know, when you get to in that conversations and everything. So as always, I wish everybody, welcome everybody, all of those who are watching the replay. Thank you so much for joining, not only myself, but Toni when I bring her up. I'm so excited for today's interview, guys, and I hope you are too. So I'll just quickly run through and say hello to Lashira, Roberta, Chris, Jeannie, Ursula, Sheila, Ella. Welcoming everybody, Carla. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to be concentrating on my guests tonight, so please don't be offended if I don't say hello to you. When we have intermittent spaces and that, I will say hello, but I'm so grateful for you all being here today, and I hope you enjoy. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up the lovely Toni, which we all know is from TL Yarn Crafts. I hope I've got that right. So let's bring up Toni. Hello. I did get that right, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Yes. Well done today. Wonderful job.
You know, when you've got something in your mind and I'm thinking, is there an S on the end of yarn or isn't there? And I'm thinking,
you know what? Funny enough, when I'm explaining the name of my company, I do say with crafts with an S. I do have to be specific.
I know. I'm not sure why. I hope everybody else can hear us. Mm-hmm. Hi, Sandrine, Melanie, welcome in. The volume, you can hear me, I can hear you. Is everybody hello and welcome. So thank you for joining us today. I've been really excited and to have you join us today, and I'm sure everybody else is exciting and waiting to see what you have to say.
Yeah.
So really the first thing I want to, if you would tell us, or you know, everybody in the chat, where your journey started on the Yarny Fiber, within the Yarny Fiber community.
Definitely.
You know.
Yeah, well, this story starts a very long time ago. When I was just 13 years old, my mom, her name's Gwen. She runs an account called By Gwen's Design. She has been a knitter, a crocheter. She's done all kinds of art, everything. If it's a craft, she can do it, I tell you, and she does it great. So I'm home during the summer. I have two other brothers, and over the summer, kind of our thing was two of us would go off either to camp or to visit other family for the summer, and one of us would stay home. So it was my summer to stay home. And I think I was just kind of driving my mom nuts. She needed me to have something to do. And she actually started a granny square for me and put that in my hands and kind of showed me the basic stitches and told me to keep going. She was like, you know, this square can get as big as you want it to be. And I remember thinking, wow, I get to decide, like it's up to me. Like that was really wild to me, because creatively, like I wasn't an especially creative child. I loved music. I loved hanging out with friends, things that kids like to do. I love to read. Yeah. But I wasn't especially creative. I hadn't found my thing. And I sat down with that crochet hook and this awful camouflage yarn. Oh my gosh, it's so ugly. But I was sitting down with this project, and I just remember thinking, wow, I am doing this with my hands. I'm creating this thing. I'm doing this craft that I didn't know how to do a few days or weeks ago. And it's turning into a blanket, like something usable. And that was really exciting for me, because at 13, I don't know what the term would be. I hadn't like accomplished something on that level. I hadn't created anything.
Yeah, you hadn't found your kind of what makes you shine kind of thing. You know, a kind of, when you're 13, you're in that kind of
discovery phase. You're trying to figure out what
who you are, how you develop, and who you, you know.
So I'm in that place, and I'm trying to figure myself out, but I'm also a bit restless because I'm at home. And I'm sure at the time I was not this introspective about it, but I've thought about it a lot. So that was kind of my introduction to the yarn arts. But like any other teenager, I didn't really hold on to crochet that tightly at that point. I get into middle school and high school. I end up going to college, and I actually moved to Ohio, which is a state away from where my family is. This is shortly after I got married. So I had just graduated school. I'm in a new state. I'm now a wife, which was new for me. Like there was a lot of change at once.
Yeah.
And it was also 2010. We're in the middle of one of the worst financial situations in US history, and I can't find a job. So just a lot going on at once. And I needed a tether. I needed something that gave me a connection and made me feel accomplished, made me feel like I was doing something, because there was a lot that I was trying to figure out at the time.
Yeah.
So I thought craft could be that thing for me. And I wandered into just one of the big craft stores here. They carry all the craft supplies. And I ended up in the yarn aisle. And I remember distinctly having this feeling of like, this is a comfortable place. This is a safe place. This is a place that I recognize with things that I can hold on to and that I could do something with. So like anybody who's way too excited early in the journey, I just started buying stuff. I just started throwing everything pretty in the cart.
You get spoiled for choice. Oh my Lord.
It was too many choices. And I'm pretty sure I had a coupon and I was like, oh, I'll just get it all. I just started throwing stuff in the cart. So I get home and I wandered onto Etsy, which at that time, they were still really early in some of their digital products. And I bought a few patterns and I sat down and kind of retaught myself crochet. This is essentially 10 years after I picked up a crochet hook for the very first time. And I was like, I want to get back into this. So that was kind of where, I don't know, part 2 of the journey starts with me getting back into crochet. And from there, it's been nonstop. I mean, the rest is history from there, as they would say.
That's really interesting. And before I go into ask you my questions, I've just noticed one here that I sounds really interesting that I didn't want to miss. Sure. Roaming the plains. I have a question for Toni concerning the shades of yarn. Would you describe the ashy colors the same color on your... Oh, I beg your pardon. That is not good. That is not good.
Someone is in the wrong live stream.
I know. Somebody is. I do apologize profusely.
Oh, it's okay. Don't worry. I've been doing live streams for a very long time, and there's a lot of stuff we don't control. So that is not on you, sweetie. Not even a problem.
I am so sorry. I just saw the question and I should have read it first. That is my bad. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, without that, I apologize. We have trolls. Yes, we do. I'm supported. Thank you, Ray. Thank you for reporting them. Thank you. Oh my Lord.
There's always one.
I've never had a troll. And it's been taken care of. Thank you, Tank. Thank you.
Thanks, friends.
All right. Thank you, friends. So anyway, let's go down to the proper questions, shall we?
Let's do it.
What was the deciding factor to start your channel? What was that thing that made you think, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to press that button. I'm going to do my channel.
Yeah, well, I started my channel in 2017, and it was really an opportunity. Like my entire catalyst for starting the channel was that I had just gotten into Tunisian crochet, and there weren't a lot of resources to learn. So I had actually learned I went to this yarn convention. There was a woman at a booth. I was just kind of wandering around and I ran into her and she had this big tool with a hook on it and this yarn with all these loops. And I was like, what? This makes no sense. But I was like thoroughly entrenched in crochet at this point. So I was really excited to see something that was new to me. So I sat down with her right there at the convention and she kind of taught me the basics, showed me how to cast on, how to work the simple stitch, how to bind off. And I kind of took that knowledge home with me and I was like, okay, I really want to know more about this technique. So I'm going to scour the internet. YouTube as a creator is really like my Google. I search YouTube for everything. So I searched Tunisian crochet and I came across a few resources, but I was surprised at how limited it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, there's lots of stuff to do with this technique. You can do color work. There's all kinds of stitches and shaping and the basics and lace. And I was like, aren't more people talking about this? So I was like, you know what? I took some business classes in college, and one of the things that I took away was to make your mark on an industry, you find a void and you fill it.
Yes.
That's how you make an impact. You become the authority on that thing. So I was like, okay, I'm well entrenched in my maker career at this point. I had already gone full time. So I was like, what's going to be my thing, my topic that I become the authority for? And I was like, I think it can be Tunisian crochet. So I have been playing around with the idea of a YouTube channel for a very long time, but I didn't know what I was doing. I was very, very nervous. And I look back at some of my early videos, and you try not to be critical, because it's like you can't compare you then to you now. You've learned a lot and you've grown and you've changed. But I'm like, man, I'm just grateful that I found the self-confidence to make the videos that I did, because they really were my start. So Tunisian crochet was the topic that really launched my channel. And I did, I think I did probably like 3 or 4 months straight of just Tunisian crochet content. And I always find that circling back to that topic brings new people to my channel, gets people back engaged. So I've been really focusing on traditional crochet lately, but I'll be heading back to Tunisian very soon and doing a whole lot more videos on that.
Yeah, I mean, when I first encountered Tunisian, I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
Because I've only ever known knitting or crocheting. So when this Tunisian, I was blown away, and I was, wow.
Yeah, it was a really cool technique. I mean, I'm still very much amazed by it. And I think one of the reasons why I keep going back to it is because there's still a lot to learn. Like I've created some resources, I wrote a book, I do videos and such, but there's still a lot about this topic that I don't know.
Yeah.
And it keeps me excited, because every time I learn something new, I'm like, oh, genius. I love this. Like I just, one of my favorite websites is called thriftbooks.com. So I like to go on that site and look for like vintage and out of stock craft books. And I just found one called Tunisian Crochet Lace that a company called Annie's put out like, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. And it just showed up today, and I was flipping through and I was like, so much that I don't know, so much to practice. And that kind of stuff keeps me so excited.
Yeah. Yeah. I've actually got your book.
Really? Oh my God. Wow. That's pretty cool. Thanks, Linda. Thanks for the support. That really means a lot to me. I don't know why. I still get so like, I'm like surprised.
It's like, oh my God, I've got Toni's book.
Aw, thanks. That is so cool. I love it. I love knowing that my book is spreading even beyond this country. Like the fact that people are checking it out.
The internet's an amazing place, isn't it? You can buy anything these days online.
Keeps us all connected. Definitely.
Yes, it does. It does. I mean, where would we be without it, to be honest? So moving on to my next question. This is, what was the first thing that you can remember making, and do you still have it?
So the very first thing I made was that camouflage granny square blanket. And if I'm not mistaken, that blanket didn't even make it to the next house we moved to. I'm pretty sure it got donated at some point, because for anyone who's US based or uses Red Heart yarns, they have a camouflage yarn that they've had forever. And it was that same exact yarn. And I don't know, it's not my personal taste. So it was great for me to practice with and learn with. I think that's why my mom gave it to me. So I don't have it anymore, but I always do hope that someone has it and is getting some good use out of it.
Yeah.
Even if it's just laying on the back of a couch somewhere, I hope someone has it.
Yes, very good. So moving on from that question, what is your favorite item to crochet or Tunisian? And what is your favorite yarn and weight of yarn as well?
Wow. Okay. So my absolute favorite projects, thinking about like what I personally like to make, it's always blankets. I really love to get invested in a project. I love that moment when you first cast on for a crochet blanket. I love working through the body and seeing the colors and the striping or whatever design come together. And then the finishing and adding a border, like every part of the process of making a blanket, I'm just like, oh, I can't wait to get to the next part. I can't wait to get to the next part. And I also love the point when you're making a blanket when it's like while it's a whip, but you can like lay it over your lap and it's like really comfortable and keeping you toasty warm. So that's my favorite kind of project to make. And then as far as my favorite yarn, that's always so hard because there's so many. But I would have to say like my desert island, I can't get any other yarn, is going to be 100% superwash merino wool. It's so squishy and it comes in so many colors and it's just, I don't know. It feels so soft on your skin. I don't know. I'm a big fan. I spent a long time in my maker career not using like finer fibers, like animal fibers at all. I spent a long time just using acrylic and cotton because as a crocheter, I feel like that's what we're encouraged to use. You know, we're not encouraged to use like silk or alpaca or wool even sometimes. So once I finally did branch into animal fibers and I tried merino wool and I saw how well it holds up and it washes well and you can get it from anywhere, I was like, oh yeah, I'm in love. It was love at first stitch, I swear. I love that yarn.
Do you know Gwendolyn Jones?
That's my mommy.
I know. She says, hello, sunshine.
That's what she calls me. So I'll tell you, Mom, I did tell the story about how I learned to crochet. So you came up. You did come up.
Welcome in. Toni's mom.
Yeah. My mom, Gwen. Hey, Mom.
Oh, that's lovely. Since starting your channel, what changes have you seen within the fiber community, and have you seen changes happening within the community since starting your channel?
Sure. Yeah. I think if anything, I feel a lot closer to the maker community after having started my channel. There are a lot of really amazingly supportive and kind and encouraging and smart, very, very smart people on YouTube that will drop into my comments and ask really thoughtful questions or even help each other. I often will encourage people to help one another because while I consider myself an authority, I educate, I write, and I share a lot of information, I know there are tons of people out there that know way more than me. So it's been an opportunity for me to expand my knowledge as well. For example, I did a review on a yarn that said it has silk in it, and I didn't recognize the fiber. So I had said something about it in my video. I dropped down into the comments, and there were amazing folks kind of talking about the different types of silk and that it's not always silky soft. Sometimes they use the leftovers and it's still considered silk. And I was like, wow, I learned something today. So it definitely keeps me open to continuing to learn so I can be a student while also being a teacher, which is really cool. And then outside of kind of what I have to gain from all of this, I would say since starting my channel, I've found that every kind of room, whether it's virtual or in person, that I go into with fiber friends, there's a warmth, there's a connection that you find. And before I started my channel and really started putting myself out there, I didn't know where those people were. So I came to understand that, like, to make a friend, you have to be a friend. You have to show up and you have to be kind and you have to be willing to say the wrong things sometimes. And you know, just, I don't know, you just have to show up. And that's really what I try to do with my channel. And by continuing to show up, I feel like I'm constantly blessed with a really amazing people, just like you, Linda, that I run across paths with. And I'm like, wow, this was a great experience meeting this person and finding out something new.
Yeah, and I've you know, I mean, I've only been in the fiber community nearly 2 years. Next month it's going to be 2 years. And I kind of, even within them 2 years, I've noticed the change. You know, there's a lot more channels out there now. And the support, even from day one, has been immense. You know, and even in the chat in today's live, a lady came in and she was asking question, and you know, we were able to help her question, and the live is really nice because, you know, people can ask something there and then, and so if somebody is bound to know on the panel and can help, and that is that's amazing as well, whether they watch video, you know, watch our videos, and if they've got questions, you know, I try and answer them as much as, you know, I can, or if I don't particularly know the question, I know where to send them and say, watch this, see if this will help you, and that, and that's all part. And I always say you learn something new every single
day,
whatever.
Definitely.
You know, whether it's just something everyday life, or whether it's to do with the, you know, your crocheting, your knitting, your Tunisian.
Yeah, I think it's great because it's like, by being open to learning something new and sharing whatever knowledge you have, you find that people are so generous with information and with their time. And I've always believed that it's up to all of us to pass these crafts on, because if we don't, you know, they'll fall by the wayside. I feel like even crochet's kind of had this resurgence in popularity lately, just from folks like you or me, or folks in the chat kind of teaching other people or sharing about their own projects. So by putting our own fiber journeys out there, we're encouraging, you know, new folks to kind of
future generations to take it up.
Which I think is wonderful, because it's like nobody's forcing us to do this. Nobody is even necessarily asking all the time. I think it's the generosity from the community that really kind of keeps that train going and keeps us all excited about it.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, kind of and that leads me on really to the next question is, in what way did lockdown affect your channel, if at all?
Oh, it hugely affected my channel, because there were a lot of people coming to knit and crochet over the course of that year. It was obviously a bombshell for all of us. None of us really saw this coming. But I do.
And you know what we're gonna do Saturday 24/7. You know.
Exactly. You know, it's like what, and at that point, so funny enough, at that point, I had quit my day job and I was working from home full time. And so having a work from home job, being a full-time artist was still very much a novelty for me. You know, I was just really enjoying like being in my quiet house with my cats and unlimited coffee. Like I was having the time of my life.
And you can wear your slippers all day without wearing high heels, and I felt like that when I retired. It was like, what am I going to do now? Yay!
It's like so much freedom. I don't know what to do with myself. Like it was pretty cool. So when the pandemic happened and my husband got sent home from work, he was home for an entire year before he could even go back to work. So a lot changed personally, but as far as my channel, I definitely saw this explosion of activity, because I do specialize in kind of that first stage, that beginner era crocheter. So I want to get people excited about even learning. So my channel became one of those resources that people came to figure out what crochet was all about. So there was definitely a lot of activity at the time. And of course, it encouraged me to just want to make all kinds of new content. I came up with so many ideas to get beginner crocheters engaged, because even very early on, I was like, you know, I don't know how long this is going to last, but at some point, this surge is going to taper off. So I was like, how can I get people excited about crochet beyond just, I have a lot of free time and I need something to do with it. I wanted to try and encourage people to make this a lifelong hobby. So it changed kind of the focus of my channel to not just teaching people how to crochet, but teaching them what crochet meant and understanding the technical aspects of it and really understanding it, not just doing it, but also understanding it. So if you wanted to take it beyond what I had to offer, you felt confident trying new patterns or trying different yarns or going into your local yarn shop or going to a yarn event. So yeah, it was kind of the kickstart I feel like my channel needed. I wouldn't say I was kind of getting stale, but I was definitely getting comfortable with as far as the content I was putting out. And it was a really great chance for me to kind of breathe some new life into my channel and my content.
Yeah. And I would say as well, crocheting or knitting is really, really good for your mental health as well.
Mm. Oh,
It
yeah.
helps. I mean, me personally, it's helped me through so much. And I always say it should be part of rehabilitating or
Absolutely.
a
Like a therapy.
therapy. That's what I meant, the word. Thank
Mhm.
you, Toni. A kind of, it should be prescribed as a therapy.
Agreed.
It
Agreed.
really should. I've always said that. And, it's it helps, people, and it's something that you can just lose yourself in for an
Can.
hour and forget about all your cares, all your worries,
Absolutely.
everything
Mhm.
that's going on in life. You can just forget about it and just sit there. And even
Mhm.
if you're just doing a square,
Mhm. Yeah,
it's something
it's
that
like it's
it's
regenerative, I feel like, and I know for me, when I'm especially stressed, I always go back to crochet. That's why I always have some kind of like personal project going on in the background. Always something that I'm not trying to share it on social media. I'm not trying to teach a technique. It is literally just for me. So when
yeah,
I sit down on that couch and I'm a little bit wound up, I can just kind of relax into that
relax
project.
and just enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of and kind of it's really interesting
Mhm.
the amount of people that have even though they started to crochet during the pandemic, the
Mhm.
amount of people that have still continued
Yes.
carrying on, and that is just beautiful to
I love
see,
it. I love it.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
that's a real I gave myself kind of like 18 months from when the pandemic started to really try and get a gauge of how many people were going to be sticking around in this maker community. And I feel like if you're still at it at this point, you're in it with us. Like you're part of
Yeah,
the club.
that's it. You're hooked. Like it's,
You're in it now.
we've reeled you in, and
We have.
you're staying on the end of the hook.
Yeah, and I think it's marvelous though, because then you get all these different perspectives. You've got these folks who kind of came to this craft in this really difficult point and found some
Yeah,
community. They found their friends and they found their people. They found their group.
yeah,
And I feel like as adults, sometimes that's a little tricky for us because, we're not thrown into it like we were in school, where we're around all these people and
yeah.
you're kind of forced to
It's
make
something that
friends.
they've had it's been their decision to.
Exactly.
And instead of, right, you're in school, this is what you're going to be learning today. Come hell or high water, you are
Yeah.
learning how to do a double crochet, a single crochet, or a square, or whatever,
Right.
But when you've taken that and thinking, right, this is my choice,
Mhm.
kind of, there's people, kind of, you're in the US,
Yeah.
I'm in the UK,
Mhm.
there's that bond that you
Yeah.
make as well, isn't it? It doesn't matter
Mm.
if they live, I'm in my, where I am, I'm alone here,
Mhm.
but I'm not, because I've
You're
got
never really
everybody
alone.
else,
Yeah, you're never
you know,
really alone, which I think is magnificent. Like I'm running an event right now called Crochet Academy,
yes,
and it's all about engaging brand new crocheters. So even if you know how to crochet already, I invite people to participate, and it's just 3 long weeks of education. That's kind of what it's packaged as. But when it really comes down to it, it's a community building activity. It's
yeah,
I'm going to share this knowledge with you, but I'm also going to invite you to this community that's so warm and can embrace you if you want to grow in this craft. And I think it's so cool to find out like where in the world people are from. Like I connected with this woman in Nigeria. There was a guy from Egypt and people from Australia, all over the world, places I've never been. And, God willing, I'll go one day, but maybe I won't. I don't know. But it's really
yeah,
awesome to connect with people through this craft. It's almost like it gives me a view of the world that I wouldn't have had otherwise,
yeah.
which I think it's spectacular, and I think it's a real gift. Personally, I've always felt like being part of the community of crochet and crafting is the real gift of knowing how to do this.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's it's nice to be able to have that interaction, you know, and we learn from each other as well.
Yeah,
Don't
it's a
we? I mean,
beautiful thing.
I've learned so much, you know, since
Mhm.
joining the community. It's just amazing. And I know that if I'm get stuck on a problem, I know that I can reach out to my Yarny friends, and they will, if they don't know, they can point me in the right direction. And it's just really, really, it's special to be part of this
It is.
community.
It definitely is. And I will say I do find, and I don't know if you have the same experience, but like as I continue to learn things within crochet, there is kind of a pride or kind of a self-satisfaction you have when you can answer someone's question.
I know
You
you're like,
know, because we've all been there. We've all been on the other side of that where you've wondered about something and not known the answer. So then to be the person who has the solution, it's kind of cool because it's, you know,
no,
it kind of puts your growth into perspective, like how
it
much
does.
you've learned over
You
time.
know, and especially if they ask me knitting questions,
Yeah.
and I can go like that, and I'm thinking, oh, I answered it, right. And after I've given them the answer, I'm thinking, oh, I've got it right, and then I'm thinking, did I get it right? And then I'm quickly going to make sure I have told them right, because I'm thinking, I hope I've not told them wrong. No, but I mean, you know, after 50 odd years of knitting, I'm almost 100% certain I've
Right.
given the right answer. I wouldn't be so 100% certain on the crochet, but the knitting, and it's like, oh, I did pat my back.
Exactly. It's a very much a pat on the back moment. That's exactly what it feels like. You're absolutely right.
You think,
Absolutely.
oh, yes. So the final question I've got for you is, what advice would you give your younger self if your younger self was to start a channel today?
Oh boy. Oh goodness. I would probably tell my younger self to not be so afraid to ask for help. I think when I was first starting out, I was very much like, okay, this is a decision that I've made. So I'm going to do all my research and I'm just going to figure it all out on my own. And it probably took me a solid year of having pretty slow growth, in all honesty, for me to finally reach out and be like, okay, there have to be some experts out here, some groups I can join, a mentor I can find to help me not feel like I have to work so hard at this.
Yeah.
And I probably would have just told my younger self to like, just take it a little bit easier. I went really hard, really early, just very, and it's just part of my personality. Like once I get excited about something, I can't turn it off. And I'm just like the Energizer Bunny. I go and go. And I think I probably would have said like, take some time and enjoy it a little bit more, engage a
Enjoy the
little bit more.
process.
Exactly.
Enjoy
Like
it.
get comfortable. I needed to be more comfortable being new at this. I'm not great at being new at things because I want to know all the things immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my advice to myself. It's just like, be okay being a beginner. It's just about trial and error. You'll hit your stride. Like, stop stressing out about this.
I know it'll come. I mean, Ursula said, Granny Square, she says, oh, Toni, that 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours is like climbing Mount Everest. Was it easier when you started out?
Oh man. You know what? I will say, I think I found my niche early since I went into my channel with a very specific topic. And I knew there wasn't a lot of resources on that topic. I had a feeling that I would have that progress early on. So yeah, it was definitely tricky. And I spent way too much time looking at my analytics in those early days. But I think it's once I stopped being so obsessed with the numbers and really focusing on the content is when I started seeing the movement. Once I started connecting with my audience because I was actually in love with what I was talking about, I was excited about what I was doing, that comes across in the screen. So it becomes less about the numbers and the watch time and more about how much people are enjoying and engaging with your content. And that's where the real movement comes from.
And I think you need to concentrate more on your content than how many subscribers you've got, how much what time. If you hit your content right, if your content is right, then everything else will follow.
Exactly.
It takes time. It's not gonna. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yep.
So, and neither will. I mean, it took my channel years. I mean, I've been on YouTube 10 years. It took me up until this year to get 5K. And for me, that's fine.
Yep.
It's the content that is so important.
Absolutely.
And, once you get your content and you've got I think you need to figure out what is your jam, so to speak.
Absolutely.
For you, and once you've sorted that out and you've hit the nail on the head for you, because we're all different,
absolutely,
then it will start to grow, and it's I can't express that enough, and I wish all the newbies who have started their channels, I wish them all the luck in the world, and I will help, give shout out, support, and whatever. But I think until you find what your jam is.
Yeah. And that's because it helps guide your content, right?
Yeah.
When you have a sense of identity over the message you're trying to convey in your videos, then it's not hard to come up with like, what's my next video idea, because you know what you're there to say, and you just have to find what's the right package to put it in. I think for a little while with TL Yarn Crafts and on my YouTube channel, I was kind of floundering a bit, because after I got through the Tunisian crochet stuff, I was like, oh, I still have this channel.
What do I do now?
What am I doing with it? Because at that point, I didn't have an identity of what I wanted to talk about on YouTube. I came there to talk Tunisian crochet. And once I feel like I had said my piece, I was like, well, I guess we can keep this going. Because at that point, I had gained a little bit of traction. So it was kind of a moment of self-discovery of like, I've got my blog over here, and I have a message in that place. I have Instagram over here, and I have a message in that place. Now I have YouTube. What is my message here? What am I trying to get across? What do I want to be the person where people are like, I'm looking for a video on this. Let me go to TL Yarn Crafts. She's going to have something for me. And then once I figured what that was, like what my message was on this platform specifically, the ideas just flow. And I just started like a note on my phone of like different ideas that would come to mind for what I wanted to put on my channel. Because I knew, and I think for every artist, you go through these ebbs and flows of inspiration.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Like,
I mean,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We all have times where we think, well, what am I going to do now? I mean, I very much found my love for my knitting. So I'm still crocheting, but I can see over the coming months, I'm going to be going across more to my knitting.
Yep. Yeah.
Because I've really found that fire inside of me that's really this is something I need to do this. Definitely. For me. So I'll still be doing the crocheting, but the knitting is just eking. So I still do both, and I can still talk about both, and that. So
I think that's really special. I think that's one of the things I'm often quite jealous of people in this community. I have not mastered knitting or anything beyond crochet just yet. So I love that there are folks who can kind of flow in and out of both, or find ways to combine them in projects, or have that knowledge base of both crafts. I just think that's so cool. I want to get there one day, but I do find that every time I think about wanting to learn more to knit, I find something else in crochet I haven't tried yet. So I always make my way back to crochet.
Okay. So thank you for answering my questions. And I know I've interrupted a bit. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's been a great convo. This has been awesome.
So welcome in, everybody. And thank you all so much for being here. I hope you give the thumbs up. And I know Ursula, thank you so much, Ursula. She's been dropping the link to your channel for us. So thank you so much. Knitting with Virginia in Australia says, very helpful tips, Linda and Toni. Thank you so much. You're more than welcome. I'm reading the questions before I ask them. Oh, dear me. Right. And I've got YouTube on. So on my channel.
I did want to give a quick little shout out to my friend Jeannie, who's here. I met her for the first time just a couple weeks ago at an event in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, my Latina Jeannie.
Yes. Oh my gosh. She gifted me. Do I have it? I don't have it handy. But she gifted me this absolutely beautiful clock. So she makes these gorgeous clocks, and instead of numbers, it's these beautiful yarn balls. And she made one in like teal yarn crafts colors. And when she took it out of the box, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you made that for me. It was honestly just the sweetest gift.
I know. So she's very talented. I call her my Latina Jeannie.
Oh, she's such a sweetheart. If you ever get a chance to meet her in person, she gives great hugs. I'll say that. And she has a really cute dog. That too.
So, Toni, I send everyone to you who asks about Tunisian. You have helped and inspired me so much, says AJ's personal touch.
Oh, thank you. That's
awesome. Bear's Crochet Critters, I agree. It seems a lot different on how to be successful here on YouTube in the last few years. And that was to Yarn Bath. And
the platform's definitely changed. I would definitely acknowledge that. I would say it's gotten a little bit more crowded, and not in a bad way. I think that's where kind of knowing your niche and understanding your message comes in, because regardless of how many people are speaking in that room, if you're there with a specific message that people are looking for, they're going to find you. I think sometimes newer folks get a little discouraged because they're like, they'll look around and they'll see some of these larger accounts and think to themselves, well, what am I going to say to get any attention here? And I think that can sometimes be a limiting idea, because it's less about how you're trying to wade through the noise and more about what it is that you're actually trying to say. I have always believed that if somebody is meant to hear my message, whatever platform it is, they're going to get there. I just need to put it out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And Yana says, funny, I don't want to make money and have a video almost, and she has a video almost ready, but so nervous about putting it out there. Were either of you nervous about starting? Oh my gosh, yes.
Yes.
I had to go and have a shower after I did my first one. I was so nervous. It was unbelievable. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yes. Or, kind of, Yana, just press that button.
Just press the button. I always say for your first one, whether you're starting a YouTube channel or you're putting a pattern out, whatever you're doing for the first time, just get the first one out of the way. Like that is.
Once you've done the first one, guys, honestly, Yana, it'll be amazing. And your mum says she can knit.
Barely. I know, so I will say this, I can read a knit pattern. I can do that for sure. But as far as the mechanics of it, I just, it's kind of like a toddler who's still on training wheels. Like I'm working on it, but I'm just not there yet. I feel like I kind of learned Tunisian crochet so I wouldn't have to learn more knitting, but I'm gonna do it eventually. I'm really gonna get it down one of these days. That's the plan.
And Jeannie from On the Hook Crochet says, awesome interview with Toni. Thank you so much, Jeannie. That was really sweet of you. Everybody's saying hello. And somebody did ask, have you got a new book coming out?
Not yet. So of course my book came out last December, which is fantastic and very, very exciting. But the book writing process incredibly long, like a couple years to really do it right. So I'm actually meeting with my publisher next month to kind of talk about ideas for the next book. I have several ideas. We're just going to kind of narrow it down, and I'll probably get started before the end of the year here. So there will be another book eventually, but definitely not anytime super soon.
No. And we've got somebody here who's new to my channel, so welcome in. Fraylin and Friends Crafts Plus. I have a question. If Toni has ever been to Western Windhoek?
No, I haven't. Where's that?
University there, and they work on Tunisian style crochet. They make these jewelry bags for Swahili tribes in Namibia. Sorry, guys. Namibia. That's
a tough one.
That's a mouthful, isn't it? Can you try and saying that drunk? Never get it out.
No, I have not heard of this place.
That is amazing.
That's really cool. That's new to me.
I mean, can you imagine Tunisian with all them beads?
I bet it's gorgeous. Like, of course, as soon as you said Tunisian and beads, my head is like, how do I put beads on Tunisian?
I know. I was thinking that myself. I'm thinking, hold on, how can we do that? I'm sure we can. I'm sure there's a way.
So in my head, so let me know if you've got the same idea as me. So in my head, it's like, okay, let's just say we're doing simple stitch, insert yarn over, pull up the loop, and then maybe drop the loop off and put the bead on, and then put the loop back on the hook.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
I dig it. I bet you could make some really pretty patterns with that. Like, because Tunisian crochet is kind of like a grid.
Yes.
So if you did like almost like a cross stitch chart of color. Oh man. This is how ideas start, y'all. This is how somebody says one thing, and now I'm like, okay.
Your brain's like this, and I'm thinking, oh, yes. I mean, I do love it with knitting. Oh, I love working beads and knitting. Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, I can't imagine. Now, when you're working beads with knitting, do you string the beads on the yarn first? No.
I've got a very, very, I've got a hook that you can hardly see the hook.
Oh, yeah? Oh, it's that tiny? Oh, boy. See, you knitters are really, really dedicated. Like when y'all do that super thin lace work and beading and like full mohair projects, I'm like, y'all are crazy.
Well, for the first time, I'm going to be doing Stephen West's.
You are.
Twists and Tin.
Is this the new knit along?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I've never done it before, but I'm sure there's cables in it, and I'm the queen of cabling for knitting. So
love that. Oh, enjoy it. So I don't knit much, but I do follow him, and I also get excited when he announces a new knit along. I always follow along because the photos are always amazing. So enjoy that. I bet it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you to say, Rita. She said, Linda, I think that's awesome because you will inspire us to want to learn how to knit. And I do have a how to knit on my chat on my playlists.
Okay. I'll have to check that out. I definitely need a refresher.
Yes, and Lashira is saying, Yana, don't think about it much, just do it. I still have that feeling sometimes. Yeah, you just got to. Oh, thank you, Cindy. That's lovely to know. And
I think when it comes to having a YouTube channel, I think it's an interesting situation because when you're actually recording the video, you're literally in a room by yourself.
Yes.
Trying to bring an energy like you're in front of a room full of people, right? Yes. So it's like if you've never done that before, if you've never been in like television or movie production or done interviews or anything, it's quite an odd feeling to try and produce this energy, like to get people excited about your videos, but it just comes with practice, right? So it's like if you're not nervous in the beginning,
I sit here and I think of everybody in front of me, so I'm speaking to them, and the best thing is they don't answer me back.
There's no one there to correct you. It's like you are the expert, you have it right every time.
What I say goes, what I say is correct. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you. If anybody's got a question for the wonderful Toni, that would be lovely. We've got 10 more minutes. Kathy Kujawa Toni was one of my first channels I watched, and I remember her talking about going full-time crochet. It was very inspiring to follow your dream. That is awesome.
Yeah.
That,
There, I love that I can share that moment with a lot of people through like my YouTube channel and Instagram, because it was like from getting into crochet to making it a business to then going full time. Like there are folks that have been part of the Teal Yarn Crafts community since the beginning. So it's kind of like we all had this accomplishment together. Like when I quit my day job, I remember I went live that night and it was very teary because I love my job. But this was just moving in a direction and at a pace that I was like, I have to do
you
this
have
for
to
myself.
do it. You know, at the end of the day, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Exactly. Yeah.
You've just got to go with it. And Ursula, my wonderful Ursula, who is actually in South Africa, she says, Linda, Windhoek is in Namibia, a country next to South Africa, used to be part of South Africa many years ago. Swahili tribes are indigenous to Namibia. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You see, Toni, we've learned something new today.
Yes, we most certainly have. That's my tidbit to take away for the day. That's awesome.
I know, yeah. And Monda has learned so much. Lovely, lovely compliments about. They've all learned their Tunisian from yourself. I see some bead Tunisian coming out on TL's channel in the near future.
We might. I mean, so funny enough, when I was younger and I used to get my hair done, my mom put a lot of like beads and things in my hair. So whenever I go to the craft store and I see those, I'm like, I think I need to like try and make something happen with this. I don't know. I might have to run over to the craft store and re-up my bead supply.
You see, I don't like fringes. So I
Beautiful. See, I'm inspired. It's going to happen. There's going to be beads involved somewhere very soon. I can feel it.
And you can say the idea came from.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's
such and such. Do you or do any other style of artwork or needlework from different parts of Africa? I just love all those patterns. They're amazing. Twist and turns. That's it, Sheila. Thank you. I know the colors and you know their mats and their blankets, they're all rich. Yes. Ochres and coppers and
gorgeous burgundies and like jade greens.
All the rich colors are just amazing.
Yeah, I think it's great that, you know, of course, with the internet, we have access to this inspiration everywhere, and seeing how like different parts of the country, like, or different parts of the world rather, like put out their crafts and the kind of colors and combinations that they use. Like it's just endless inspiration. I feel like I've spent hours and hours, like it's something I do for fun, just searching places like Pinterest or searching for different crafts from around the world to just get inspired about like looking at things a little bit differently, you know? Yeah. I think it's when we stay kind of within our region or our same circles of friends, the same kind of ideas start to pop up, and we have to kind of branch outside of even our own crafts to get that inspiration.
You know, I kind of, you know, I try and watch something different, kind of than crochet. So I'm watching quite a bit of the knitting, and I like to mix it up, you know, knitting podcasters, you know, watch about Tunisian, watch about you know, so it's nice to bring in other just to keep yourself from getting stagnant.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, you've got to learn to grow. Toni, do you plan to still do product reviews, says Bears Crochet Critters? It's how I first found you, and one of the things I always come to your channel to check what's new and what you think of new tools.
Yeah, I do plan to continue to do product reviews. I actually, you can kind of see them right here. This is a set of crochet hooks that were recently sent to me by an independent hook maker. They're like hand-turned wood hooks. So one of the things that I really want to get into, and I do a lot of product reviews on my channel, but most of them are from bigger brands. And I really want to get into doing some reviews for some smaller brands and some independent brands. There's some really amazing makers out there who don't have the really big exposure. And I'm like, it's nothing for me to like, I love crochet hooks as it is. I don't really care where they come from. So it's like, I would love to support some of these smaller shops who are trying to make a name for themselves. So I'm really looking to be intentional about kind of balancing where those products come from and which ones I'm reviewing and who I'm giving that platform to.
Yeah. And I've just seen a question, and Fraylin, it's being sorted. I'm sorry about MRN being as blocked. Someone in the chat, I apologize for that. Oh, there it is. Cheryl asks, will you have any new garment patterns coming out, i.e. cardigans, pullovers?
I will. So part of Crochet Academy is I create 4 brand new patterns for a crochet along that starts right after the event is over. So the event actually ends this week. So starting next week on Monday, I'm going to have 4 brand new wearable patterns. This behind me is actually one of them. So there's a cardigan, there's a sweater, there's a vest, and there's a tank top. They're all coming out on Monday. Free patterns as well as tutorial videos. Very, very big undertaking, very exciting. But yes, those are
a lot of hard work as well. There's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
I don't think some people realize the amount of work that it takes behind the scenes before you can roll something out. Everything has got to be just right.
Yeah, definitely.
Before you can roll it out, because, at the end of the day, guys, we're human. We all make mistakes. And sometimes, there is going to be an error or not. I'm not saying there is, Toni.
No. But I mean, there probably will be. I think sometimes to get out of my own way, I need to accept the fact that there probably is going to be an error. I probably will have to go back and fix some things, change something, update something. But if it's a matter of getting it out on time versus getting it out perfectly, it's more important to me to get it out on time, because that's me showing up, following through with what I committed to.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, all they have to do is just email. Look, exactly. This doesn't read right. I mean, I've made mistakes myself, at the end of the day, I'm a human. I'm not a robot and whatever, and that, but I was in no way meaning that you.
Oh, no, not at all. I'm human too, and I think so. Let me know if you feel the same. I feel like sometimes as we put ourselves out there on a place like YouTube and kind of try and establish ourselves as authorities in these things, sometimes it puts some pressure for that level of perfection. And I feel like I put that pressure on myself enough, and through my journey of craft and trying to teach people, I'm coming to understand that it's okay for me to make mistakes as well.
Oh yeah,
and I'm the one that has to get okay with that first,
Me too, because I am such a perfectionist, and I'm OCD. I'm terrible. My husband will tell you I'm OCD. And I'm a perfectionist, and if I don't think it's right, and
I feel like that mentality keeps us from accomplishing things sometimes.
I think sometimes, personally, I think you need to make the mistakes to learn from them.
Absolutely. Yep.
Because if you made no mistakes whatsoever, what have you got to learn?
Exactly. And it's through that learning, I think it humanizes us. And I think it makes people feel closer to us.
It grounds us.
It does. It really does. Mm-hmm.
We're not perfect.
We're not.
I don't proclaim to be. And yes, we will make mistakes, whether, but it's easily rectified. All you have to do is just email us.
Exactly. Yep. And that's the nice part about this community. I feel like it's a level playing field when it comes down to it. Like, I make sure I stay accessible to folks, and I engage in my comments or in my Facebook group, just like I was just part of the group. Like, I'm just another person in the group who's just part of the things with everybody else. And that dynamic is really important to me, because while I love what I do and it is my work, crochet was my hobby first. being part of this community is a personal joy and passion to me.
Yeah.
So staying connected to folks is what continues to drive me to do what it is that I do, because that's the part of it that's truly important in my eyes. So, you know, when it comes to putting out patterns or whatever it is, whatever crazy idea I have within Teal Yarn Crafts, I'm like, it could go well or it could not, but either way, it's going to happen. Like it's, that's my mentality.
I mean, my fairy treasures, Angie, couldn't have put it any better. In my opinion, throw perfection out the window and you free yourself. Yes, exactly. You do. Exactly.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, amazing. Trying to be perfect has held me back from a lot in many different aspects of my life. I'm still working on it. Yeah. And at the end of the day,
a lifelong process.
We're human. We will make mistakes. It's part of growing up. And it's it's the learning process, guys.
It is. And at the end of the day, few things cannot be corrected, right? Especially within this yarn life. If all of us crocheters, we know how easy it is to frog a project. So it's like, we can take that into
that is so annoying. You've taken 2 hours to get this much and it takes you 5 minutes to frog it all.
To rip it all out. But it's like I would rather get to that point earlier in the process. I'd rather make the mistakes early, learn from them, and come back stronger. That's always my mentality of like, very few things can't be undone. And I know within this community, folks are so supportive. They're so encouraging. If I make a misstep, we fix it and we move on. That's really what it comes down to.
Well, guys, I can't thank you enough. We are all going to be going across to Granny D. If you want to do a Simpson stampede over to Granny D, that would be awesome. Don't forget the thumbs up. Thank you so much, so much, Toni, for today. I have so enjoyed it. I hope you have too. And thank you so much to everybody in the chat, for my moderators. Thank you guys. You are amazing. And that's all from me for today. Take care, stay safe, but as I always say, be kind to you. Until next time.